Good morning, everybody. I need to do the little switch thing. Hang on real quick. Clacky, there we go. Now we're doing the switch thing. Alrighty. Good morning, everybody. We're looking for, specifically, so we've changed all my procedures, so everything's a little bit more confusing to me at this moment now. I'm just trying to fix all of my procedures here. And that means figuring out where I put. It's in here. It's in here. It's in here. And it's in here. There we go. Play. There we go. Let's see what we got here. Try that. That should be more. There we go. Okay, you all tell me if this is too much. I do that there. Okay. What we're going to do today is we're going to do some work on 3D assets. So one of the things that I do is over here. One of the things that I do with my comics is I do like 3D backgrounds, right? So we've got kind of a little bit of a background. I'm going to turn on the icon that says that we are working on Bellatrix Rising. So I've got like some backgrounds that I do in complete 3D. You kind of saw how we did the backgrounds for like the interior parts of the ship, or I guess it's been a couple of weeks now. But today I'm going to do some work on buildings. We're going to do some buildings. We're going to try to create sort of the buildings that are going on in Bellatrix Rising, the little neighborhood that they all live in. So good morning, Donald. How are you doing this morning? So, is the music too loud? I'm still trying to adjust this music thing, because now we've got the ability to do these as I can sort them and randomize them, and that's kind of useful. But I've got it now routed a different way, so it's a little complicated over here. So we'll have to see how that works. Anyway, so we are working today on. Let's get this over here. We're working today on. We'll do this. There you go. We're working today on making buildings. So that's how this is going to work. So first things first, we're going to have to assess how this building looks and sets up in Daz. So I'm going to go ahead and launch Daz in the other window over here. And get it rolling. And it should come up in this window. So give me a second here. In the meantime, we'll talk a little bit about what we've got going on right here. So this critter right here, this is effectively a cube. This is a cube set at half height, and I don't think this is where we wanted it to be. That's a odd one, isn't it? Okay. So we'll say we're over here. We want to do a new primitive. Do a cube and accept it. We're going to just map this cube real quick with this map and then see where it is. So when we go over here, get the content library out of the way. We go over here and we're working in here. We're gonna map this cube. Yeah. That's what we're gonna do. Man, that's distracting for me. There we go. We gotta save this diffuse color so that we can get it over there. The first thing we're gonna do is say Save as. We're gonna just save it as a JPEG, and then say test. Yeah, I know. It's like, it'll be flat. I get that it'll be flat. I understand that it'll be flat, and I'm sad, but that's okay. And then we will go over here, and we will load test into the system. And the first thing I'm noticing is my cube map is not even remotely accurate. And I'm worried that perhaps my cube map might have been for an old cube, or maybe it needs to be rotated 180 degrees. I don't know. But this isn't a good map. I thought we had the map for it. I had already done this work at one point in time, but it's, questionable as to whether that's actually been copied over from the other computer. Because that might have all been on the desktop. And if so, it's all gone. We'll have to just do it again. But, that gives you something to see and to watch today as us map out this cube so you can kind of see how that works. I'm going to take a look here, though. Just first to make double sure we don't have that somewhere else. That's what I'm looking for here is maybe plausibly other maps, maybe? Kind of worried that maybe that's gone. And it might be. It might be totally gone. That's going to be a bummer. Yeah, I think that one's gone. So we're going to have to start all over again. Not a problem. Gives me something to do today, right? Okay. So we start with, we need to make this cube work somehow. We're going to have to make this cube work in some way. And obviously, we could see that all the lines are going the wrong direction. So I'm going to go back into Clip Studio. I'm going to try one thing first, though. I'm going to see if maybe rotating this page will make it work. So we're going to give that a shot. Who knows? Maybe this will work instead. Save as test 2. One of the sad flaws of DAZ Studio is that we'll go ahead and browse, and we'll do test 2. Let's see what happens here. Look at that. That makes it so much easier when it works. Okay, well, that was hard. Phew, that was difficult. We had a real tough time there with it. Okay, never mind. Okay. Our cube seems to be mapping correctly on all sides. Now we've got all the colors going in there, making a full color of the cube. So now we can use this to our advantage. The first thing I want to do, though, is we can note that on this guy, they're not squares. Now, DAZ doesn't care what the resolution is in any direction. So we can shrink it until this is square, and that will work. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take a look at this. It looks like we're twice the height of the width, give or take. So I'm going to take first things first. As much as I love this little building idea here, we're going to take it out because we don't need it. Not for this particular job. Where are we? We're not on the right layer. Delete. You're still not deleting. Okay. Anybody want to take a guess as to why you're not deleting that? I do not want to have to use Photoshop for this. deletes grayed out. Fine. That's not on either. Probably not a raster layer, and that's part of it. Yeah, it's not a raster layer. That's part of it right there. Okay. Now I'm going to select deselect. So when we do like tall buildings, this will be a 2 height. So we're going to call this 2 building. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow us to do any kind of double-sized buildings. That'll work. And this all that they're roughly take this ruler and measure the height. I just want a linear ruler. This gives me where does it read the values out? Okay. Chelsea's calling in the middle of the show. I wonder what Chelsea needs. I hope if I say I am broadcasting. Okay, I guess not. I guess I won't say that. Who knew? So, hang on real quick. I am on air. Is it critical? Question mark. There we go. Because it could be her calling to say, you're not on air. which would be funny. So, that would be humorous if she was in fact calling me to tell me that I was not in fact on air. But I'm probably on air. You can hear me, right, Donald? You're out there. Okay. Huh. There's a copyright strike. Really? Okay. Huh. Alrighty. Hang on real quick. Let me call Chelsea because this is funny. She's calling right now. Hey, thank you for calling and telling me that.
Yeah, I just figured it was important because you were streaming right now.
I am streaming right now.
It's weird to get coffee stricken in the middle of streaming.
That is kind of strange. That is a very strange thing. So
Like your art is all yours, so
the art's all mine, and the music is in Comptech, so it's royalty free.
So somebody's playing games on stuff that ain't theirs.
Yeah, somebody just struck us so submit a dispute on that because I absolutely it's all royalty free, and I even attribute him in the end credits, so I follow all of his rules specifically too.
Who's the artist on the music?
His name is Kevin McLeod, and it's in Comptech. It's the same stuff I've been using this entire time for Geek Tank.
Fab, it's not him, so
yep.
All right, I'll submit a dispute and get it running.
Cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Bye. So Chelsea is helping out. Somebody apparently just did a copyright strike on my video, which is funny since all of my music, by the way, all of my music is composed by Kevin MacLeod, who is at incomptech.com. And his requirement was that I attribute it by putting that it's attributed by a 3.0 Creative Commons license, which all of that is in the end credits. That should be working. We'll see whether that works or not. Oh, I understand, man. I totally get you. So it looks like somebody, just for reasons that are beyond me, did a copyright strike on my show, on my broadcast. Which, even funnier, is the only, I mean, like the pictures that I use, all of it's my artwork, and even the photograph in the background that's from space is a Hubble photograph from NASA. So I don't know if there's anything that could possibly be somebody's artwork. I don't know. I mean, I appreciate that people are, worried about copyright work, but I'm an artist. I have really zero interest in messing with people's copyrights. So I don't want people messing with mine. So there's that. I don't think the rulers work like I think they should. Okay. I don't know how in the world he could possibly own my video. That's very funny. There we go. Thank you, Chelsea. There we go. She's doing that. There we go. There we go. So, okay. I know. I don't know why they put a strike on me. That's so funny. So, like I said, music's all in CompTech, which is, he does specific music for royalty free so that we can use it in these things. That's actually what he does this for. I'm actually a patron of his on Patreon. So not only have I done my bit for King Country, but I'm patroning him. And I did the I don't know. Yeah, and the person who put the claim against it is nobody I know. So, I mean, it's none of you guys. Hey, Patsy, though, it's good to see you. Welcome to my apparently copyright infringing show. Who knew? I think the funny part about this is my opening credits I just made. So I just made these opening credits and closing credits like 2 days ago. So they're not even that old. And I made them from scratch. I mean, I went into Premiere and I made it from scratch. And all it is me drawing. It's not like it's complicated. So I even kind of made it intentionally cheesy, so it kind of looked like those PBS shows from the 80s, because I kind of like those, So, yep, music's not copyrighted, and the opening credits are made by me, and they're me filmed, too, which is even funnier. So, Facebook, if you're listening, I can pretty much validate everything on here. Yeah, I named it Coffee with Guy, but I can't imagine that somebody named Salman Mohammed is Guy. And, that's it. And really all I did was just name it Coffee with Guy because I couldn't think of a better name anyway. So if they really want to dispute that, we can dispute it. Okay, moving right along and getting back to work. We've got here 2 height buildings. So when I make the final version of this, I'm going to have to remember that this cube needs to be twice the height of it. So this cube that I have made here. So we'll go to parameters, and we'd make the Y scale 200%. Except that I don't think it is, because if you look at 200%, it doesn't look quite twice height. So I don't know what that's. I don't know if that's. I mean, that doesn't look. This looks a little squatter than twice height, right? So we will. I'm going to check this by doing this. I'm going to take this guy right here. This is the width, right? We're going to copy and paste it. Now we're going to have ourselves a copy here of the width, right? So if we take this guy and we rotate him like that, now we know what 1 is, right? We take this guy and we forget which one's duplicate. One of these is duplicate. They're all like symbols. Yeah. So we'll duplicate the layer. And if we look at the duplication here, we can clearly see now that that's right. There's another. We are not twice height like we should be. So that's what a twice height side would be. So we're going to change the aspect of this, which means math. And that means we've got to bring this guy down. I'm going to bring this guy over. And we're going to get the information from the canvas properties. So we're at 5500 by 5500. Well, this should be relatively easy math, right? 5500. And by the way, this is where computers get irritatingly cranky to me. I know you don't, and that's fine. So we're going to do 5500 by 5500. This is the width and the height of this. So it's a square, but since we have 6 panels on one way and 2 panels the other, we're going to have to figure out how to make this an adjustment here. Right? So dividing that in half, that means that the height of each cube is 2200. Going into thirds is a little bit more of a difficult problem. Wonder if I'm still broadcasting on Facebook. I guess you guys can still see me, even though I'm broadcasting on Facebook, huh? So, I take 5500 divided by 3, we're going to end up with 1833. So, there we go. So, if each one of these is 2200, then what we really need is, and that's actually 2250, right? Because it's 2.5, so it's 2250. So the width is 2250. 2250 times 3. So it should be 6750. That's what we need. Okay, good. You guys are watching from Facebook. That means that things aren't, totally borked. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to take this guy out. We're going to take this guy out. And we're going to change canvas size. We're going to change the width to 13.5. All right. And that should make this guy. We hit Shift. Is it an Alt? Which one is it? Which one makes this thing? This one. Every program has to be different. Every program. No. Cancel. Oh, every program. Every program. Free transform, maybe? There we go. That's what we're after. Well, now I feel like I've done twice this size. So I did my math wrong. Or maybe I should 6750 times 2. Maybe it's just 6750. I think it's just 6750. Okay, cancel. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back one step. This is the maddening part of working with computers for me, is trying to six, 750. That doesn't look right. Okay, well, I guess that's fine. I guess. Okay, let's see if this works out. Yeah, though I feel like that's closer to squares. I still don't feel like that's squares. Right? Oh, I hate the idea that I'm going to have to go to Photoshop. Photoshop is being so messed up at this moment. But I guess we will. We'll load Photoshop. The sad part is that it's just a familiarity issue with me. I just need to get more familiar with Clip Studio in order for it to take up the same kind of slack. Okay. Here I am logging into Creative Cloud again, having to type in my password. They're having an authentication problem. And so I'm having a hard time getting Photoshop to load. It'd be nice if you weren't full screen. Come on, wake up. This is why we don't like Photoshop right now. At least we can work here. All right. size. Okay. And we'll move this over here. Boy, this has been rough this morning, hasn't it? It's been a rough morning. Okay, 2-height building. We're going to open 2-height building. So image size. Image size. We're going to do width. And we know that each box is 2250, right? So 2250 times 3 is 6750. So the width should be 6750, but it actually probably is closer to 6800 because there's this little bit over here. So we're going to see 6800. We're going to have to turn this off, otherwise it'll keep making this the same size. All right. And they just don't look, I don't know. These don't look square. Maybe it's a trick of the eyes. This guy's 2188. $2,600. So we're still 500 pixels short. So we'll just make it a little wider, I guess. Image size. It's another 500 pixels. That's 7,300. See where that comes in. Now we'll measure it. Now we're 2346. We're very close. By 2,700. 2,700. Huh. We're still 400 pixels short on the width. I know that this is really exciting, but the truth is this is where a lot of work happens. Sadly. Image size. We'll try this again. That looks about right. Look at that. That's getting there. $25.14 by. Why is it getting taller? $26.99. So 2,700. So 2514, 2,700 is only a handful. 2614. So we need about 150 more? I wonder if it's 8,000 straight up. I mean, that would be computer right. Computer-like, I guess. You'll see why this is important to set these up. 2566 by 2705. Am I imagining things? Are we still getting taller? How are we getting taller? 2700 by 2600. So we're off by 100. we go. 2600 by 2700. Because I'm not multiplying by 3. That's what it is. It's going to be 300. I got to raise it up by 300. There's 3 of these guys. 2706 by 27 and change. That's good enough for me. That doesn't, I don't have to get any better than that. So we're going to save this as one height building. Okay, good. Now that we've done all that math, that was wonderful, wasn't it now? That's a one height building. So anytime we have one height building, we're going to use this. So if it's a perfect square, which nothing ever is, we're going to use this map. But we're not going to. We're going to use the half size one. Now we can do this correctly because the height now, because the width will stay the same, and the height will be 2250, not 22,500, 2250. This is a half height building. We're getting there. We're getting there, guys. And so what I'm going to do is take the rectangle tool, and I'm going to just add a thick line there, like that. A thick line like this. Like that. And this will be a one height build, or half height. Okay. We only have to do this once. So once we've done this, it's done. So we will be able to get this squared away here. Now we're going to undo the image size, because we don't want to. You don't want to ever, when you're compressing or increasing pictures in Photoshop or some kind of art program like this, you never want to take a compression and then expand it back out again, and you just get artifacts. So you always want to back up a step to where it was at the full height, because we're going to have to make this bigger anyway. So image size, and what we're going to do here is twice up this, which would be what, 1600 or 16,000, right? Did I do that right? It's 1100. What is it with me? 11,000. There we go. And this would be a 2 height tall. So there's our actual. Ooh. We are no longer running with I swear, they are trying to sell me on the idea of not using Photoshop anymore. Save as. We're going to call this 2 height building. I'm going to overwrite this. Yes. Okay. Now, if I really want like a very tall building, like a super tall building, we'd have to do that with and this all is back to, at this point in time, by the way, if you're wondering why I haven't backed up a step, it's because we've already increased the value of it, so it's difficult to. But this should be just 22, because we're going to make this a 4 height building. scrubby zoom has turned off again. So this is a very tall building. This would be a skyscraper or something like that. This is 4 height. Which I don't think they would have super tall buildings. I think at this size, all I really want to know when I'm dealing with Daz is, and Daz is back here. All I really need to know is if I make this 400% like this, then it looks tall and thin, just like that picture that we just did. So here's how we're going to make this work. I'm going to go back into Clip Studio Paint. I'm going to close this and do not save it. Then we're going to open, and we're going to open this 4 height building here. You were wondering when we were going to get to drawing. So was I, to tell you the truth. So was I. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is put in a new raster layer that is all white. Right. And give it a second, because this is a big picture. Okay. Now we're going to go down just a little bit here, and I'm going to make all of the baselines for it. So all of these are set for gradients, and I'm not sure how to... Is it you that needs to tell me rectangle? There we go, rectangle. And this needs to be filled. It doesn't matter. Okay. Still not getting there. Oh, because I filled it with white. Either way, let's get ourselves a new layer. And we'll do black on this one. And then we'll go through here and do this. And we'll get there. There. Now, for this building, what we want is we really want thick lines around the outside edges. This makes us have... The building will look like it's hand-drawn if you do this. And I'll show you how this works in a second. Make sure we have the base down here too. Okay. Now when we look at Daz, we want to see what color is on top. So red is on top and blue is on bottom. Okay, so red is on top and blue is on bottom. So these two are squares. Okay. So what I'm going to actually do with this one here is this. It says red is on top, blue is on bottom. So this doesn't need to be anything, but this can be something else. So we can take this and make it light blue like this, and we can do something like this inside here. Oops. You need to stop. Why? But why? Because you're drawing on the right layer. You're drawing on the wrong layer. I haven't had that joke in a while. So this guy needs to be square because he's a roof, but we're not going to be able to see that because of the nature of things. But I want to put something up there because otherwise, anytime you do a sky shot, it'll look strange. So what we're going to do now is we're going to flatten it down, and then we're going to save it. Right? So we've already saved it out. That way we can check this. Whoops. we lose it. You can check this because, boy, we're running a maximum understanding here. We'll take surfaces, and we'll check this by going to browse. There we go. And we'll check the 4 height building here. There we go. And now we have pretty much effectively an office tower of some sort. You can see that the bottom is black. The top has this little roofy thing going for it, but we're not going to make it too complicated. And all of the sides have a line to them, so that if we render this, it's going to look just like a black and white picture. Now what we need to do is make it look like a building. So we'll go in here. Oh, I hate these things. Every program has a glitch that's just driving me crazy, I swear. All right, we're going to just deal with one side. So new raster layer. No, I don't want a new raster layer because that's not what we're doing here. We want a new vector layer because that was the whole idea here, was a vector layer. We'll call this building side. We're going to go in here then, and we're just going to work on this side of the building. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to take my pen. I'm actually going to take my line tool on this one. Let's do straight lines for right now. Okay, so we're just doing a straight line that didn't work because it's white. That's why. Undo. It needs to be black. Just to do these like straight lines. Ooh, they're very thin. Let's make that bigger. We're just going to delineate the floors. And I'm intentionally not making them, hey, Raph, welcome to the show. Apparently this morning I have gotten a copyright strike on my show. People have just too much time on their hands. Especially since music is copyright free and I made the opening credits myself. So somebody has claimed that they are me. I think that's funny. Okay, so I am just trying to... Yeah, isn't that weird? I don't know. They said that 30 seconds, my 30-second opening that I have made myself, by the way, was copyrighted and that they had made it themselves. And I'm like, wow. Since it's me, I as I was saying, my opening credits is just pictures of me. I did it in sort of that 1980s, so it like zooms into the camera thing. You know, like that cheesy 80s effect. That was totally what I did. Yeah, except this was on Facebook. And during stream, no less. So this guy was moving. He was working fast here, you know. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting in the floors of this building. And making them not exactly lined up helps make this, sell this as a realistic. Yeah, well, except everybody who's here is here from Facebook, except you. You're the only person that's not on Facebook here on my show today. So Raph's saying that's been a thing on YouTube for a while, just striking people and making their show drop off. And so I was like, well, I mean, you know, not that I disagree at all, but there's not much I can do with it. So, okay. now that I've done this, I'm going to go through and I'm going to do the adjustment that I did before, where you adjust the line width. We're going to scale it up just a little, and I'm just going to tap a little here and tap a little there, like this. Right? And this gives just a little bit of, it's not so straight. All these lines aren't perfect, right? Like it was done by an ink brush. That gets rid of the computer feel on this. So then it looks much more like it's right. I remember her getting flagged for that. I was like, I don't know, man. Use Incom. That's the thing, right? I use Incomtech, which is a guy named Kevin McLeod, and he does this for YouTube videos. That's what he does his music for. And so he's got a Patreon, which I'm a patron of, and he's got and you can buy it. You can buy the music for extended rights if you need to, like, do it for a TV show or something like that. But for those of us that are just YouTubers, just doing, well, effectively YouTubers, he does this in a way that you can just easily do this. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of silly. So what I've done is put in all the floors. I've noticed that the floors get wider as they get to the bottom. I think that's funny. Right? So then we can take this and just duplicate the layer. Raf's saying that Christina got flagged once for inappropriate music because she had Native American music going for her stuff. And so they flagged her. And I think that's funny too. Okay. I want this to line up a little, at least somewhat, right? So we're going to, and I mean, I guess that's like a sign that you're doing good or something. I don't know. If you're getting copyright flags, maybe you're doing something right. Somebody is paying attention to your show. I don't know. Maybe that's a sign of... But we disputed it, and clearly they haven't pulled our show, so... The good news is Chelsea was on it, and as soon as we got that flag, she just... Woo! She was all about this. So... And she went and disputed it, and she's doing all the work, and I can keep doing the show, which is great. It's wonderful. So technically today, our show is definitely sponsored by Geek Tank. Okay. So we've got kind of this is the lines of the building. Kind of wish they lined up over here. So I'm going to actually go in here and kind of line them up a little, because this is really rough looking at. It does look a little weird to have these lines not line up. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to just change the control points on all of these so that they line up. Little tedious, but worth it. Right? Make that line up. Wow. I guess this makes sense because I changed all my line widths. And maybe I should have done, and this is a lesson learned, I should have done the line widths with done the line widths after I had gotten these all lined up a little bit here. So it's worth it to spend some extra time on this because this is my 3D background for my comics, and I'll be using them for the rest of the comic. So it's not a real problem for me to spend some extra time here. This is a perfectly reasonable thing to do and make it work right. when people see the city background when they see this city in the background, you want them to recognize it. You want them to see the city and go, oh, that's, the blah, blah, blah building or whatever. And since this is going to be a consistent thing, we want to make sure that I find it just funny, by the way, Raph, that Christina got tagged for Native American music. There is something somewhat remarkably ironic about that. Especially since, as I recall, that was like music that she knew the authors of, right? I mean, she knew who they were. And clearly, it wasn't a copyright violation. And so, I think I was on that show, too. I was like watching her broadcast. Right? And it's like, that's ridiculous. Cancel culture is what that's called. And though cancel culture has been used to good effect in our culture and has brought about good changes, the drawback is you can cancel anybody. And it's kind of rough. But I guess you'd have to, there kind of has to be, I figure, some kind of, wolf crying cancel culture. This person always cancels stuff, so we don't trust him anymore to cancel anything. He cries wolf too many times. That'd be my thought. This line's going to get wiggly. Yeah, so... Oh, they said it was offensive. Well, that's even better. That sounds like somebody who's trying to, trying to say that she's misrepresenting Native Americans. You know what I mean? Like they didn't quite catch on or something. I don't know. I'm using jazz, which is pretty offensive to some people anyway. But I like jazz, so, people can jump off a cliff if they don't like it. That's just my feeling. I like jazz. Jazz is good. So, but it is interesting, because I think that that's sort of a thing. Okay, now that I've straightened those out, I think I actually may just go ahead and erase the other lines and redo them, because even though we know that. So here's what we're going to do. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and mark the top floor here, because this way we'll know where the top floor is. Otherwise, we're not going to have a clue where that top floor is. Okay, so let's do this. Okay. So what I've done is I redid the floors and I lined them all up. Now I'm going to duplicate them out again. So we'll duplicate this floor, or this side here, and we'll bring it over here. And I'm going to use that top line as a guide to tell me where the top of the building is. I'm going to duplicate it again. Let's bring this over here and do this. There. And then we'll duplicate the layer again. And we'll do this. There. Now, in general, my thought is that we can just pretty much save this right here. I'm going to go ahead and do what Control-Shift-E flattens everything. So we're going to go ahead and do that. It's going to flatten all these layers out and then rasterize all of those so that they're all nice and rasterized. Then I'm going to save as, and I'm going to call this like generic building. They're not all going to be like this, so I'm going to call this one a generic building. So now we're going to make this, now we're going to lose the screen. Now we're going to get the screen back. Gotta admit, guys, at least the shows are interesting, right? Look at this. Completely blacked out. There we go. I think we're making the show mad, or making the program mad. Okay, so now let's make these specific, right? I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to add a new layer. I'm going to add my vector layer because I really like these vector layers. They're very, very useful. So we're going to do that. We're going to go on ahead and add a vector layer. I'm going to take this vector layer and I'm going to take this rectangle. We're going to make it a non-fill. Looks like on the vector layer it's only fill. Its name is fill. That's right. Then we'll make it a line tool. That's fine. Straight line. So we're going to go through here and we're just going to make a straight line. We're going to do, I don't know, something that looks interesting, right? Like that. And then we'll make it come back up like that. Right? Or even better, let's make that a complete X. We'll go from this side all the way down to here, like this, like it's some kind of structural support. Okay. Now, some kind of weird structural support thing going on here. Kind of feel like if I were to make a white box in the middle, it was pretty big. I might be able to get quite a ways through the middle of this. There we go. And we'll do the same thing right here. And all we're doing is just, whoa, going a little too far there. But luckily, this is vector. Vector. What's your vector, Victor? Give me clearance, clearance. Clearance, clearance. Alright, we'll come through here. We'll do that. And we'll do that. There we go. So then we'll just correct these lines. Move them like this so that they're not quite as disruptive to everything. We'll move that over like that. Move this up to there. And move this back to like here. And all I'm doing is just making it easier for these to be blanked out. So, there we go. Go up to the top here. We're going to do the same thing up here. We're just cleaning these up. There we go. I'll have to probably do another line through the middle. This guy's fine. He needs to come down to about there. This guy needs to come down to about there. This guy needs to move over about there. We're just cleaning up these lines so that they all kind of do their thing. Go to the middle there. And we need one more white line right through the middle. Offensive, I swear. And whoa. No need to help me out here. Again, good thing this is all in vector. All right. Our line fix needs to happen right here. There we go. Now you have sort of this why thank you very much. I appreciate that. I like Bob Ross. He was cool. Okay, so we're going to take, and all I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this rectangle tool and we're going to just put in some little details up here. In white, apparently. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. We'll put this in right here. We're just doing this, right? It's just a little thing. We're just going to add some little whatevers here. These are just little parts of this building. Right here, we're just going to add these are offices that maybe have their lights on, or maybe they don't. I don't know. Maybe they do. Who knows what's going on in these offices? Lots of important work. That's what people do in offices. A whole bunch of important work that's too low. We'll start here. There we go. We're just adding just some character to this. I am noticing that the hallways, the rooms get bigger as you go down. It's kind of cool. I don't know if that was, on the lower floors, things are always kind of like get more room. I'm going to do this. I'm going to add just like a barrier line through here. We're getting the hiccup for the there we go. Just like that. Perfect. And now that just kind of looks like a building up there. Right? And so you mean the room or the music or just the fact that I'm concentrating on all of these little windows. There's a lot of little windows here. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just kind of touch this up with that adjust line width. Just kind of make sure that it's a little bit, whoa, that got too out of control there, didn't it? So we got to go in closer for the adjust line width. So that there we go. So that we're only hitting this line right here. And make sure that that's the one that's kind of getting increased like that. Some of these windows, we're just going to do a little bit of line width adjustment here. And then tap right there. And be very, very careful, because if we adjust the white lines, then they become thicker than the... There we go. And this just gives it some personality. There we go. And this just gives, when you're looking at backgrounds and when you look at a background picture from any anime or manga or anything like that, there's just variation in the brush. It's just a little bit of variation in the brush, right? And these people will use brush pens to do their work, and they'll get a little bit of variation out of it, right? So that's what we're doing here. We're just imposing a little bit of variation. And it looks more like it was done by a human than by a computer whenever we do it that way. I'm going to go on ahead and flatten this down. And that'll rasterize this layer. There we go. And now with this, now that I've done that, I can take the fill tool and just fill in little things too. Like maybe that window's out, right? Maybe the lights are off there. We're going to actually first, though, I'm going to copy this entire piece right here and paste it. And this way I can have these same windows on all of the floors. Right. We're going to do the same thing here. The question is, did I go completely silent? Can you hear me still? Because that's the important thing here. And we'll put that right here. You guys can still hear me, right? And I didn't lose my audio, did I? Duplicate layer. I'm seeing Raph is saying, why so quiet? And I can't tell if he means, is that because I'm concentrating so much on this? Or is that because of something else? Where did the sound go? Okay. Hi there. Where is the audio? Let's check our audio. Well, Donald can hear me. So Donald says he can hear me. I don't know where the audio went, Raph. Maybe plug in your headphones. Hey, Raph. Headphones? Headphones? I don't know. Donald can hear me, but you can't. So I don't know why you can't hear me, but Donald can. So I'm still broadcasting in theory. There we go. Do this. Wrap that around there. Gotta say, if you meant mute, that was a good typo, Raph. That was one of the better typos. You can be in and out of consciousness, Donald. I hope that you feel better. But yeah, I mean, if I can keep you company during that, that's great, man. I get it. I've been there. Thanks for checking in with me, though. I know that that's, not the world's best whenever you're feeling miserable like this. So appreciate you kind of keeping tabs with me. Okay. Now I'm just putting in the buildings. There we go. Hentai was up. Gotcha. Just, making sure. And I'm just going to randomly fill some of these windows. Some of these offices are just, their lights aren't on right now. Right? These guys' offices aren't, their lights aren't on. That's okay. All right. Now that we've done that, what we have is we have pretty much a skyscraper now that sort of, evokes sort of the idea of a building with lots of little things going on. I'm also going to kind of go through here, and I feel kind of like some of these might be, I think I'm going to leave it like this. We'll just leave it like this for right now. And we'll save as, and we'll say 6 height building. And then we'll say skyscraper 1. Maybe we'll call this O1 because there might be many of them. We'll go over to DAZ. We'll take this now and we'll hit this diffuse color. We're going to just bring in skyscraper 1. Right? There we go. Now what we have is we have a building that just can sit in the background just fine. And you don't need to pay close attention to it. It's just sitting back there being a building. Right? So we're going to do the same thing with another building here. And I'm going to build another one of these. Open. I'm going to take the generic that I like. I open it, right? "25 minutes later, we'll have it open. There we go. I'm going to close the other skyscraper because that's not helping us apparently. And this guy, I'm actually just going to, oops, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to take, I'm going to wait for it to fill everything with a gradient so that I can undo that. There we go. I'm going to take, we're going to go through here and we're just going to take these rectangles and we're just going to fill every other line. That might look cool. So I think I might actually take the fill tool. Nope. Can't take the fill tool. Every other line, maybe you? Maybe you? Nope. That's what I was afraid of. They're not all connected. And you? Nope. So it's just going to be easier for me to do it this way. Ooh. And so what I'm doing here is just filling in every other line with a black bar. This will look like another building. It's sort of what you've seen in downtown areas too. So rather than take, that makes it easy here. We'll just do this. Right, so we're just filling in every other row like this. And this could be scaled down, so it's not quite as big of a skyscraper as the other one. Right? That was easy. Man, that's brutal. I actually, acid reflux kills me all the time too. I totally feel for you, man. I'm just going to call this skyscraper 2. Back to Data Studio. We'll take you. Now what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this guy. So we duplicate the node. And that puts him right here. And I'm going to make this guy entirely scaled down. How about 50%? Okay. Then we're going to take the surface, load, browse. We'll take this guy. There we go. Now we're starting to look like we've got a small cityscape going here. Because this building, it looks like a floor has windows on the top, but not necessarily on the bottom. Put it there. There's a road between those two. And now we've got 2 buildings. Right? Now let's do another trick that makes this easy. We'll take this guy here. And I'm going to just use this same guy, right? I'm going to just do the same thing. I'm going to add a new raster layer. And I'm going to instead just say line fill like this. And we're going to do this. That's too thin of a line. I like the line if it's thicker than that, so we're going to make that line a little thicker. All right, let's try this. All right. Do that. Do that. Gotta be careful right up here so we don't get too much on the roof. And do that. We're going to save this guy. Okay. We'll do that. That's really got to think it through now. There we go. Not 100% sure why it is that Clip Studio Paint needs to black out the screen when it does that. That is kind of an interesting and somewhat terrifying thing. But that's okay. We got it under control. And then I'm going to take this half-height building here. And this is on a half size, right? So we're going to take this guy. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to add a layer. Oops, not black though. I need to be white. There we go. And make sure that all of our lines are in, because we'll need those lines. So we'll go here and go for straight lines. And we'll go straight down in white. That won't help us. Boy. There we go. We're going to just kind of go through here like this. And we're going to go through here like this. There we go. And there. And just like this. And what we're doing here is we're just making sure that the outer side of this works, you know? So I'm going to then bring this back up and then flatten it down. And then I'm going to save this because we haven't done this yet. So this is the base. Right. Now we're going to do the trick. Okay, so watch this. I hate saying watch this because I'm a Star Wars guy just like all the rest of you guys. And so you know saying watch this means something's going to blow up. So bring it down. We're going to fill it. We're going to do this. And I'm going to not fill it. And do this. Ooh, maybe a little more than that on the brush. You won't be able to see it if I don't do that. All right. What we're doing here is I'm just adding some interesting effects right through here. All right. And it's just like art or something. And this is the top and the bottom. So we do nothing there, but we need to make sure we do something here. Okay. So this is going to be our little penthouse thing. There. I find that interesting. What we're going to do now, we're going to save as, and then we're going to say half height penthouse. Okay. Now watch this. Take this guy. You see, duplicate node, and we'll bring him over to here, and then we'll put him behind. This. And we want to do that again. We want to duplicate the node. Duplicate node. And this guy goes up here. And I'm going to take this guy. And instead of being 400, I'm going to make him 50% Y scale. And I'm going to make him about, let's see, 70% width. I'll bring this down to here. I'll take this guy, surfaces. I'm going to take his diffuse color. We're going to take that third skyscraper building, right? Which we can't see right now. I think that's you. All right, we'll load it. There we go, we get the lines. And then we'll take this cube and then browse. And we say we want the penthouse one we just made. We made this penthouse. Okay. And now we have a completely different building. So, with a little penthouse on top. And that's how we make that work. So now we're building in existing, somewhat existing artwork that looks very much like you've got a little city going here. Right? A couple of buildings that are similar, but not the same. And we've got this skyscraper in the middle. I can actually lower this guy even more and put him like here, and now you've got like a little deck on top. That makes it even better. Looks a little more realistic, like there's some kind of building. And from the ground, this will render like this, and it won't be a problem, right? And these are just background buildings, so I'm not going to worry about putting too much detail in. We have about 30 minutes, so let's talk about one that does have detail. Okay, so let's discuss bringing in the. Oh, I wish there were two of these. Let's discuss bringing this in. So, get rid of the 4 height building, because this is tough on this thing's memory, and get rid of the penthouse. or penthouse. And we'll open recent, and I'm going to do the half-height building again. This time we're going to make a little shop or something, like a little shopette. Knowing that this is the top and the bottom of the building, I'm going to not work with that guy. So we're going to start here on this side here. And I actually feel like we should probably start in the middle. This way, I know what's on the right and the left, because I can't always be sure that this square is going to line up correctly. And again, since this is a close-up, let's go ahead and add a vector layer and get in here with the vector lines. So I'm going to take the straight line, and we're going to bring the brush size down a little, because now we're going to be close. So we're going to do this, then I'm going to do that. And then just give us some kind of, nifty look, because this is sci-fi. And everything is sci-fi in my world, and that's totally okay. So we're going to do that, and we put the doors in right here. A little shop. I don't know what kind of shop it is, but it's a shop. All right, doors right here, you can get in. It's space agey, so I'm not going to put a little space agey. Oh, I wiggled. I didn't know I could do that. Okay. I feel like I want that to be thicker. Of course, I want that to be a little bit larger brush size. There we go. About 8. And we'll put that in. There, good. So, I'm going to hit the rectangle here. I'm going to put the outside line. Oh, we can't do that, actually. We can't change the line of it. We can do... like this. And maybe like this. This is the restaurant's windows. It's a little like a little restaurant or whatever. I think it's cute. And we'll come in close. One of the traits that I like to do is I'm a very big fan of Macross. We've talked about this before. So I'm going to put in a few of these little, I don't know what these are, thingies. But, you can at least tell what they're, like a vent or something, right? And we're going to do some kind of line work over here to just make sure that it looks all space agey, right? And that's what we're after here. And again, then, I'm going to go in and adjust my line width. And kind of go through here and do this, and then just do that. Make it look a little bit like it was drawn by a pen. And I can do this both directions. And here I think actually I will. I'm going to kind of thin some of these out a little. That'll make it look a little bit less like it was drawn just a minute ago with a computer. All right, that gives it a little bit more of a variation to it. Right through here. All right. And that gives it just a little bit of variation. And, you're not watching this actually because you need to be watching this. There we go. That's what you need to be watching. There we go. There we go. Okay. I'm in the snick thing. I don't know what the story is with that. Nothing's changed. Okay. Moving along here. Just going to thin some of this out right through there. Give a little bit of variation. Right? This is drawn obviously by not a computer at all. Nobody would ever do that. Okay. I want this guy to be... The other thing we can do is bring this down right there. Just adjust a little. There. People are going to be close enough to this guy that you want to make sure that it's solid. It looks good. That's funny. That must be sound from somewhere else. Like potentially my child's computer. Yeah, I think he's kind of taking advantage of the fact that he knows that I won't yell at him while I'm on air. There we go. So we're going to move along right here. And I'm just getting really close so that I can line these up. That way they don't look bad. There we go. That's good. So what we're doing here is we're just lining these all up and adjusting them so that they all look right. But they are drawn by a human, so I'm not going to let the computer straighten them up totally because I want them to look a little human, right? There we go. Front of our little bistro here, looking pretty good, looking pretty solid. Knowing that we're going to be right in the very beginning, and this is going to be front and center, people will walk by this building all the time. I really want to make sure I put in all the details right. This is important to the entire structure here. We want to make sure that we've got like really good line work, and it looks really nice, and it looks pretty, and everything like that. So I'm going to take my line work, we're going to adjust the line width, and we're just going to shrink that down a little right there. We're going to shrink the line down a little right here. And right there. So, there we go. That's where we are with this. This is just the front of the bistro. I'm going to go to the side over here. I feel kind of like what we're going to end up with is something very similar to this window right here. Just right here, right? First things first, I think we're going to have this line go all the way across. Right. It's not exactly a straight line anyway. There we go. So that's this side, and this side's pretty easy. Figure out that's about where we want this window to be. Right here. And another window. Right here. And then we'll some kind of graphical thing there. And we're going to take this line and bring it across. This line comes to here and then just goes up and goes over like this. All right, and we've got this line going through there. And then maybe back here I'm going to do a round window. A little bistro has a round window. Just like that. There we go. Perfect. Put in a little round. I like these round windows. They look great. And I like how they're turning with the wheel, but I think we're good. I think that's what we want. I'm going to put in that line, which comes up and goes this way. We're going to call it here, and then I'm going to put it down. And up to here, and then across, and then down. That's crooked. That's all right. We'll decrooked it. Decrooked it. This. There we go. Now we'll correct the line weight. This kind of makes it look like it's got a little bit of a shadow on the top there. I like that. Looks cool. I think I'll do that over here. Right? And we'll scale it down over here, and that gives it a nice little shadow look to it. Kind of looks like it's got a shadow. That's nice. Like that. And now what we've got is we've got kind of three sides of this little bistro going on here. I'm just going to touch through here like that. And a little bit right through there, and a little bit right there. And we're just making it look like some human drew it with Well, we didn't have a tech issue today, Brent, but what we did have was a copyright claim against me right off the bat. And so apparently somebody claimed that my open credits were created by them, which is kind of funny because I was there. And it's pictures of me, so I don't know how they created pictures of me. But hey, some people are weird. But yeah, that's been our news for today, was the copyright claims. Other than that, we're doing fine. We're doing fine. So, little bistro here we're making. We're making a little bistro for this. So, now that I've got the line work in, I like the line work where it is, I'm going to go ahead and flatten this out. Because once I put the line work in, it's set. So, I'm going to go along over here. No, it's over here. I like this side. And I'm going to put in, now I can take this and make a square that's filled. I'm going to just, whoa, filled with white. Why is it filled with white? There we go, I'll just do that. So we're just going to put in some of those little graphics that I like to put in, make it look like it's from the Macross era. And that's what these are. It just makes it really look Macross. Because in the end, I will always be a fan of Macross. I mean, really. I can actually do this now. I'm kind of go back over this and just straighten that up. Good to see you, though, Grant. Good to have you on the show. And now that I'm here, I kind of feel like I want to make these windows black. Now that I'm here, I'm wondering whether it's actually like what it's sensitive. Oh, it's set for white. That's why. Black, 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 black. Kind of ruins my cool little effect there that I was doing, but that's all right. That's okay. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. But then that gives us little building windows. It also allows us to write on the windows, which is what I'm about to do. And take our ink pen, and we're just going to and that'll be the name of the shop. And I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think that there should be a different written language now. It's been 500 years. English isn't the same as it was 500 years ago. But it's been 500 years, and there's been a bottleneck in humanity in the storyline. So I feel like we've got a pretty good case for doing that. So this is our little bistro. Right? We'll add a couple of little widgets in here so that it looks a little bit more like no dogs allowed. There we go. That's probably what it says. Or maybe it just says RAF is not allowed. No RAF. Just saying. You've been banned from this bistro. The bistro specifically knows what a troublemaker you are, and so it banned you. There we go. Bistro, and we'll call this ground floor, right? And so what we can do is a couple of things. One, now that we've done that, we're going to come over here and we're going to just take this guy because he's already half height, right? And we'll duplicate him. And we'll bring it down to the ground floor. And bring him over to right here. Right? He's the little bistro. We'll make him the bistro. So go for parameters, surfaces, cube, and then we'll browse. Right. Now our little bistro is here. Which, here, let's do this minus 90. There we go. And there's a little bistro now going in the city. So, the one thing I really want to do, though, is we're going to do some real trickery here. Watch this. We're going to, first things first, I'm going to take this little section right here where it says the name of the bistro, and I'm going to copy and paste it. And with this, increase the size like this, and say, okay, then I'm going to take this and I'm going to free transform it. I'm going to shrink it down. This is the bistro that RAF can't go to because it says RAF is not allowed. I'm wondering if RAF's listening anymore now. See, now I'm kind of razzing RAF and I'm not hearing from him anymore, which makes me think that he's gotten himself caught up in work again. That's kind of a bummer. Select, deselect. I'm just going to take this and just white out the roof a little here. White out the roof. It's no fun picking on RAF, right? See, there we go. Now I've got to respect. I was going to say it's no fun picking on RAF if he's not going to listen. What's the point of that? What's the point of that? Okay, so I've done this, but he's listening now, so at least I know. And knowing's half the battle. Yo, Joe. I do this. And there we go. So now we're going to have, and I'm just going to put a little bit of a white line right there, just to kind of delineate here. Oh, we're not on top of this layer, that's why. Put the white line right here, and we're going to put the white line right here. Okay, so I'm going to save this as Bistro Roof. This is how we build a city. And we will create and a duplicate node. Goes up like this. take this, browse, the bistro roof, right? And then we'll go under parameters, and we'll say scale slightly larger. That could look like that or something. And the Y scale, we're going to make it like that. And now what we have is the beginnings of a little 3D city right in here, which is starting to look very much like what you'd expect a little city to look like, right? And what I'll do is some little back work on this, and I'm going to have to do some bits and pieces work on it. One of them is it's very important for this to look right, that during the surfaces of this, all these cubes are set for the ambient color of white. And it's because otherwise they show shadow, like this, and you don't want them to show shadow. If you want to do any shadow at all, we'll do the shadow work in the final version of this. But this makes it very flat. Just realizing some of the stuff that is lost on my old hard drives. And then it's really just now suddenly realizing that I had a beautiful dome that I had worked on, which had all of and it was hard to do because it's hard to understand in 3D space where everything was, but I managed to do this great dome which had grid all over it, had a hex grid, because I feel like the way that the dome of the Polaris would be built is with not glass, but probably some kind of transparent metallic, like maybe a transparent aluminum hexes that are all set together across the grid that all ultimately meet at the top. And so I had these really great arcs so that whenever it all got compressed at the top, it actually looked right. And so I don't have that anymore, and that's kind of a bummer. But what we're looking at here is a little teeny bistro and some of a city, and I can now place a character right here in front as if they are walking to this bistro. And, just go down a little bit here, like that. And that's how we do 3D rendered backgrounds. And it looks like a little city back there. And when I hit render on this, it actually comes across looking pretty nice, right? There we go. A little bistro. And that's how you do it. So it looks kind of strange. I actually think I want to clean up the line over here. I can see that there's a missing line right there. It doesn't look thick enough to be on that side, but this little office building works. This guy works pretty well back here. Our little bistro looks solid. So I feel kind of like we're doing a good job here. So that's the way that goes. So there you go, guys. Hey, I made a few buildings and the beginning of the Polaris. Now, the other thing I'm going to have to do at some point in time is actually lay this out on the map that I have drawn of the Polaris. You guys have probably seen that before. We had the big city map that showed where everything was. Like, I don't know where these big buildings belong, but they probably belong in the central core. And then I'm going to cheat a little bit and just draw the buildings and things like that that are in between once you get out of this neighborhood where the strip club is. Once you get out of the neighborhood, we're never going to really see anything but the big buildings in the center. You're just going to see a whole bunch of quadrants and zones. And so to save us rendering time and at a dispensary. Only in Colorado. Once we get out of the neighborhood that my characters generally live in, I don't need to put in all the details. So I'll just put in a flat panel and just draw buildings and trees and things like that, and then stick that behind the buildings that the characters tend to go to. So it'll work really well. It'll look nice. It'll look solid. And the best part about this is, here's our little bistro on this side of the thing. If we were on the other side of the city, it would still look consistent, right? Because you'd still see those three buildings. So it would be consistent on the other side of the city. And that helps a lot for when we do the comic and we've got backgrounds where the characters are walking around and there are people moving around and things like that are happening. It'll look consistent. It'll look like, oh, well, that's downtown. I don't know what building it is. People come up with it in their own minds, whatever that building is in the center there. But there's a building, so there it is. So that's the way this works, and it will look consistent. Downtown will look downtowny, and you'll be like, oh, that looks like downtown. So this will work really well. I've got to do a couple of other things that we're going to have to figure out how to do. Yeah, that's probably what I will do is add company logos. I do want to come up with the alphabet for this. Star Wars really has a unique thing because they actually do. They're Erebrish or Alberish, whatever is there. They've got this like language that they use that is very uniquely Star Trek. So I think I want to make a font that is the language here, and it will just probably be I'll just redo A to be a wiggle and B to be 3 lines and C to be 2 dots and things like that. So there will still be only 26 characters. I don't want to go into too much detail on this, but it would be nice to have its own language so that'll work. So that's my thought. I agree. And so, yeah, like Donald's saying, he's saying add some company logos, things like that. That'd be good too. We have that big black spot on the top of this building. I don't know what the big black spot does, but it could be cool. Who knows what it is. The other thing that's really fun to do is just like I did with the bistro where I added the roof, I can take one of these big buildings and add 4 columns on either side of it. And then it'll look like a completely different building, right? All I need to do is just put 4 columns, and the columns won't take that long to draw. Very, very tall, thin columns, and just put them around all 4 sides, and it'll look like a completely different building. I could even put 4 columns and then a bar through the center, and then it would look like it had big H's on all of the sides, and it'd really look neat. In fact, I may build that when I get offline here. Okay, guys, thank you for joining me today. I'm going to go on ahead and get going. It's time for lunch for everybody. So, everybody, thank you for having me here, and thanks for joining me. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.